there, and welcome back to another episode of Just Say Something's weekly podcast. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you can find us on any of your podcast platforms. Make sure that you like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to help us spread our message here at Just Say Something. And so today we have a special guest with us. Of course, all of our guests are special. And he's here for two reasons. One, he is a new board member for Just Say Something. So congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And two, he has his own organization or company business called Recovery 413. And so Nick and I have known each other for several years now, and I'll leave it at that.
7 years.
7 years. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, Nick, I'm not going to pronounce your last name. I'm going to let you do that because I always say Nacchia, and that's not correct. So, Nick, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
I actually like Nacchia.
You do?
It's pronounced Nacchia, but I actually like that. But it's pronounced Nacchia.
Okay.
But you can call me Nacchia.
Okay. How about I just call you Nick?
Okay.
So, I'll tell us a little bit. It's not part of our questions, but tell us a little bit of where your journey started in recovery and what brought you to Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay. I lived in Atlanta twice, but I lived there from 03 to 17. I got sober myself in 09. Went to treatment center in Atlanta. Did that and then went and did a sober living after that. I'll try to make this short. We did a sober living for 6 months, very structured. The two gentlemen that started that, it was called Safety Net Recovery, started in Atlanta in 06 or 07. It was something else, and then it formed into Safety Net in 09. But one was a Marine and one played NFL football. And they went to the same treatment center, and then they got out and they started the sober living. And I went with them, and I did 6 months with them. And from there, went back into normal,
whatever that is.
Yes, normal life. And I was still working at the time. I was in the food industry, and I started volunteering with them. Now at that time, there was 30, 40 men there. It was men only at that time, for the whole time, but it was men only. And then I started volunteering with them, and then I started working part-time with them. They asked me to work part-time, so I was doing both jobs. And then in late 10, somewhere in there, I became full-time with them. Never thought I would do that.
Didn't see yourself there, did you?
Did not see myself there, but did that, and then it eventually became about 100 men in that facility.
Wow.
It's not common. It was very structured.
Mm-hmm.
But so we did that, and I did that did that all through 17, and then moved here in 18. That time what they did though is they certified all the employees there, meaning, so through GACA, which is the Georgia Association of Addiction Professionals, they sent everybody through that. Probably took about 1.5 years to get certified with that.
That was
called CAC1. It was very helpful. So that was 2013. And then in 17, moved here in early 18. There was a safety net. There's one in Charlotte and one here. Came here to be the program director. And that's how I ended up here.
Okay. All right. So since then, I know we've been to Columbia several times together. different committees, meeting with different ones. Now you are working for yourself under the name that you gave your organization or business was Recovery 413. Tell us about Recovery 413.
So Recovery 413, the safety net here dissolved. Not, there was a particular reason with where we were located. I won't get into that. It doesn't matter, but it ended up dissolving, and I knew it was going to dissolve, which was fine. So I I went into another endeavor, and that didn't work out. There was a couple things I was doing, and in 2022, late 2022, this came to me. Just because I took the endeavors didn't really work. I was doing some part-time work with the company, and that went on for a while. But then I thought about it, prayed about it, and this came. That's how this formed, Recovery 413.
So, what is Recovery 413?
Recovery 413 it's basically myself.
Mm-hmm.
My wife helps out with some administrative work, but it is substance abuse counseling with / coaching, and then I do some life coaching as well. But I'm my office. So is that what you're asking me?
Well, the services that you provide.
What I provide. Okay. So substance abuse counseling, life coaching, family counseling, because family counseling goes with sometimes with the individual, or you
Right.
may do family only, but a lot of times the families are, and you know this, it's huge,
Right.
with addiction and and so forth. So I do groups. I don't do a lot of groups meaning 2 or more, in a maybe in a room like out here in one of your rooms where the
Mm-hmm.
family, if it works out. There's not a lot of that. I can do it in treatment centers, groups, but it's more individual and family right now. And excuse me. And then I do some. I work with some treatment centers, and I try to work with treatment centers and just generally anybody in the industry if they need. My phone's on.
Do you work with adolescents, or do you work? What's the age range
That's a
that
good
you
question.
help cover?
Teens, high school and older,
Okay.
male
All
and
right.
female. If it's high school and teens, substance, as you well know, with Just Say Something, I like to work with families when there's teens. I like
Right.
to work with both.
Oh, absolutely.
And then if it's just a um, life coaching, I like to work with the males on that if it's high school.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the females, if it's substance abuse with females, I like to work with them. But if it's just life coaching, I have other people I can refer to with the females,
Right.
unless there's substance abuse in there. But mainly substance abuse is the go-to.
Okay. All right. And I know we've referred a few to you, just to help a family start that process for a loved one in their family that is struggling.
Yes.
So you've been a great support for us to be able to do that. So being here in the upstate in the Greenville area, what challenges do you see that keep people from reaching out for help?
I don't know if I would just say the upstate. I
People
think,
in general.
in general, I think this area personally, now I don't know this to be 100%, but there's, a lot of good recovery here. Like there's, like you guys, just say something, working with adolescents and teens. And then you got but generally, I mean, you have favor over there in places like that, and then treatment centers, but it's very minimal. Like there's not a lot of sober livings. There's
Mhm.
some, and then, for like, there's very few female sober livings. And so it's, and I don't know everybody around here, but it's, I think it could be more just in the area, more and more to offer, but I think it could be like that anywhere.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Okay.
does. It
Okay.
does. I know for a lot of families, it's, there's that stigma related to substance abuse, especially as if they think about their teens, or, oh, it's just a phase they're going through. They'll grow out of it. Um, that may have been true back in the 60s and 70s, but there's so much out there that kids are having to deal with that's not the case these days. Especially as you look at the vapes and what that's doing to our kids and the mental health of our kids in social media. I mean, there's just so much that is being bombarded toward and geared toward our young people that I think a lot of it parents don't realize what effect all of that collectively has on their kids. What's a question that you may get from a parent that they want to talk to you about their child that's in high school? And they're like, oh my God, I found pot in my child's dresser. What would your advice be to that parent?
Well, I like to talk more in depth about what's really going on.
Right.
Like I
So
do,
there's,
like if somebody wants to, and they're interested in knowing more about Recovery 413,
mhm.
I do consult. I have to really know what's going on, and
So what's the question you may ask?
um, I like to know. Let's say if it's like I don't know, senior in high school.
Mhm.
You're talking about the boy that's using pot, and she found some pot.
Right.
I I want to I kind of go more in the past and find out more about, when did it start? Did you ever? There's so many questions.
Hmm.
It's not just one. I can spend 30 minutes to an hour just doing that.
Okay. All
And
right.
yeah, so there's many, because if you want to know about someone like that, a kid like that, a young man like that, start talking to the parents.
Right.
Talk to the look at the family first in any, or if you're talking to a spouse, an older person, talk to the spouse,
Hmm.
and you're going to get both, and you're going to get a lot. Or if they go to treatment, there's a psychosocial or written up, they write up the clinical piece
Hmm.
that's going to tell you a lot, because there's questions that they do prior to someone going into treatment
Hmm.
and when they come out.
Right.
You're not going to get every little detail, but
Mhm.
any information you can get, but just go to the family. So there would be a lot of questions.
So, what is the likelihood that if a parent's like, "Oh my God, I found pot. I didn't know my child did that." Reality is their child's been doing that for what, 2 years or more, maybe?
He did. I don't know the answer to that, but they didn't just start. Probably, most like
Right.
99%, they didn't just start
Just all of a sudden.
all of a sudden. I mean, 99%,
Mhm.
yes, but
Yeah.
yeah, it probably started prior.
Okay. All right. So as you look at, I guess it depends on what outcome the family's looking, but between counseling or life coaching, how do you determine which direction you go with that individual?
It depends on their using,
Mhm.
what they've been using, how long they've been using, where they're at in their using and then they're currently using.
Mhm.
Life coaching will come after.
Okay.
If they're current, I'll give you just a quick example.
Sure.
There's an older guy that I know, late 30s. This is an older guy, but just an example. So he's got, I've known him for a while. He's got 2.5, 3 years, coming up on 3 years.
Awesome.
And I was a part of that. And then there was a time where I didn't talk for a while, and then he wanted life coaching. So he's doing well with his recovery.
Mhm.
So I don't have to really, we talk about it a little bit, but it's more now on the life coaching piece,
Right.
which is, I'm not an expert on everything, but he needs just basic
Mhm.
life coaching, financial. I'm not a financial guru or anything, but I know
Right.
basics
Mhm.
and a little bit about, financial or health or something like that.
Right.
Um, so his is more life coaching. If it's a young person, um, if it's substances involved, we deal with that first, and then you can add it in. If he just started trying beer, just started drinking, or
Mhm.
just started one of the, you know, not so common, but then we can get into that first, and then go into like coaching, and that could be career coaching and
Okay.
things like that.
Do you get a lot of requests that involves vaping?
I don't get a lot of that.
What's the big thing that when you get that call, chances are it's going to be about what?
So with the high school, I get some most so, and I really want to work with more high school because, as you know, there's not enough counselors.
Of
There's really not, and
right,
it's not their fault. There's just not enough in the schools.
right,
And when you and I were growing up, there wasn't as many. There wasn't as many. You know, we
distractions.
there wasn't. There wasn't as many drugs. There
Right,
wasn't as we had no social media.
right,
We didn't have any of that. So we were just dealing with a couple things. Not that there wasn't problems, but there's everything out there now.
right.
Um, so I went off on a rabbit trail there. Um, we're talking about high school and what I'm working with them on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, what's the number one when they call
Oh, okay.
you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What's what I'm doing?
Hmm.
Usually it's usually I work with some teens. I've worked with some. I don't work with enough. I want to work with more, but I would say with the 18 and older, it's going to be alcohol or drugs. I see a lot of obviously opioids is crazy.
Right.
I've seen a lot of crack cocaine lately.
Oh, okay.
A lot of crack, all of it really, but um, so opioids, cocaine, crack cocaine, and then alcohol is
It's always up there.
always there. And alcohol, people don't realize how prevalent alcohol is because it's everywhere.
Well, and we recently did a viewing of the documentary Screenagers Under the Influence. And so part of that was an example they used was Halloween
Excuse me.
is now turned into an adult holiday with parties and drinking as opposed to what it's really for kids. And so there was a couple of families on there that decided they were going to have a party, but they let everybody know up front, we're not going to have any alcohol in the house because we want to be that example for our kids that they don't have to have alcohol to have fun. And so everybody came. The gentleman is like, we all had a great time as if had been drinking. And so it showed all of us the impact that alcohol has on us, but also the opportunities that we need to start having without alcohol and set that example for our kids. I thought that was a really great message as part of that.
That is an excellent point you just brought up, because you're absolutely correct. That's a very good point, because the parents are constantly there's always drinking.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a party where I mean, you see it all the time.
Right.
You also see, and I'll just go into a little further with that I see is that these young people, teens and, younger, 18, 19, 20, college,
Mm-hmm.
There's, the family's working. There's never any family time.
Right.
Just give them what they need, the games or whatever they're doing.
Stuff.
Just give them the stuff they need. And,
right.
They have all these things, but there's no family time.
Right.
And they want attention. It's, they get all these things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good point. And then there's always these, like you said, every gathering, there's drinking.
Mm-hmm. And then our kids are so exposed now on media, social media, in different avenues think of your TV shows. Tough guys, he's got a beer or a shot in front of him. And so it's always, here, you've had a bad day. Here, you want to celebrate. Here, you want to relax. It's all about, and we're being marketed that we have to have alcohol to function.
Always.
And no, we don't. We don't. That's what our community, and that's what the shows in social media are all messaging to our kids. And we as the adults in our community need to be able to show that's not reality. That's not how we as a community want to address this.
Absolutely.
I'll get off my soapbox.
No, that's a very good point.
So how did Recovery 413, what was that aha moment, or what precipitated, I'm going to start doing this, and the name of it's going to be this?
Well, it came to be, my wife and I talked long and hard about it. So that was part of it. I know some, where the office I use, it's Five Forks Counseling Group, by the way. I use that office, and there's somebody in there that is a very good friend, and talked to him about it, and he's rock solid, and we've known each other for a while, but so he had a big piece to do with it. And then the name came up. It's a scripture. It's a verse.
Okay.
Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. It just came to my head. I think it was just a God moment. Mm-hmm. And just, that's really how that came to be. I didn't really think long and hard about it.
Oh, okay.
I really didn't. It just came, and
And sometimes you can think about things too hard and too long. And so when something grabs you,
Yes.
grab it back and go with it.
I just went with it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So tell us, share with the listening audience one of your success stories.
That's a good question. There's several. Well, there's a guy I'm working with now. I'll talk. Of course, I'm not going to say his name.
No,
But,
no.
He's coming up on 3 years. He was, and the reason why I'm picking him because we were talking about crack cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's 40ish,
Mm-hmm.
many treatments, just in and out, But crack was his DOC. You don't just do crack, by the way. If anybody has questions, you don't just do that. Kind of just do that recreationally. Put it down, and maybe do it again next week. You don't. That's not how crack works.
Oh, okay.
You're wanting to do it all day, every day.
Okay.
All day, every day. It will take you down quick.
So, as part of this, did he start with crack cocaine, or did he start with something else and move up?
He moved up. You usually move up.
Right.
You graduate to crack cocaine. Most of the generally, yes, usually, but that wasn't it. I mean, there was, weed, there was some drinking, but that was his. So yeah, I don't remember every little detail, but he was snorting cocaine. That's not good. It's the same product. It's just the crack is a lot more potent, and you're going to go down quicker with crack. But so he was 40ish, been doing it for a very long time, several treatments. Just relationships were the whole. You know that. I mean, people watching this will know. But so he came in actually to sober living, and I think he really wanted it. A lot of people, they really want it, but they don't know how. And the drug's so powerful. I could go into a deep dive on this, but and then he was doing fine for a while. He was working, and then he relapsed. And then so in the sober living, we didn't just discharge people. Like it wasn't like, all right,
you've been here for 3 months. Okay, you're out.
You did. So it depends. Like if someone drank a few beers, there's consequence. That doesn't mean they need to go back into treatment.
Right.
Okay. It depends what they're using, how, and we used to drug screen it, but, so it was crack. And I knew once you get that crack going, it's very hard to stop. I mean, I already knew that. So, we did I can't remember we had some consequences, but he wanted help, and he did everything that we had asked him to do. So we worked with him, and then he did it again, probably about 2 weeks later, excuse me. Which might've been maybe prior to that too. He probably got away with the drug screen or something, but he did it again. And then, so I had to get him off the property because there's other people we had an apartment model.
Right.
So, and his dad had passed. His mom had been through this for years. She was one of the most supportive parents. Now, he was 40ish, but he didn't have any siblings. So she was so supportive. I said, look, he wasn't usually allowed to go back to stay with her. I said, let him come back. and then let him get clean, and then he can come back, and then he's got all this to do. And he was all for it. So we did that, came back, did it again. I said, okay, you're not going to be able to quit, because he did it again, and it was on every day now. That's how it works. So he didn't want to go back to treatment. I said, well, we'll do this. And his mom was all for it. I said, let him come back and stay. If he can stay clean, then we'll go from there. I knew he wasn't going to be able to.
Right.
I just knew he wasn't. She said, fine. And, but the deal was, if you don't stay clean, you have to do this program.
Mm-hmm.
And he agreed, because she was going to cut him off from everything. And, even though he was 40-ish, so of course he relapsed, and he went to this program, over in, East Georgia somewhere, or in South, let's see. Yeah. In Georgia. And it was a program, not just 30 days. So it was 30 days. And then they had an aftercare of 6 to 12 months.
Oh, okay.
His agreement was at least 6, but we'll look at it when that comes. So he agreed to it.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up going. He did the 30 days. He didn't really want to do the aftercare, which is kind of normal, because a lot of guys or gals that go into treatment and they do the 30 days, they've been through it a few times.
Mm-hmm.
They get through the 30 days and they're out. You know, he was a professional.
Right.
He knew what he was doing. So she's like, no, you're not getting any help from me or anything. She was solid. Mm-hmm. And that was a big piece. And I was still helping through that and all that. So he ended up doing, I think it was 10 or 11 months. Wow. It was like a sober living that they had, that had, levels, like you would level up. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you, like, at first you have no car, you're riding a bike to meetings. I mean, it was great. And then that particular program was an, NAAA program they had for that particular program. So he did that work, did the step work with that. And, by the way, there's not only one way to get sober, everybody, but that's the one he used.
Right.
And he did that model, but he did it for 10 to 12 months. And so now he lives over there. He's got a great job. Now he's got 2.5, 3 years coming up.
Wow.
Off crack cocaine.
Mm-hmm. And
he is about as solid as can be. I mean, we talk a little bit about recovery. So we talk weekly. He wants to, because I'm like, after about 4 months, 5 months, I said, you want to go down every other week? We can, you don't have to do. No, you're part of it. I'm going to keep it going. So he has a full recovery program, has a great job. And, we talk weekly, and, he just started a relationship, healthy relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes a difference.
So, I mean, he is rock solid. I mean, it's, and the way he talks and talks about sobriety, it's amazing. So that's great. That's one that, like, he's helping other people. He volunteers at a treatment center.
He's a previous you.
He is a previous me.
Because you started volunteering and then got employed, and now you own your own company.
He is very similar, yes.
But through that story, you reminded me of something that a lot of people don't realize. The average person that goes into treatment, it's not just one time.
Average, yeah, probably.
It's 2, 3, sometimes 4, 5. It's not just okay, you're going to recovery. Oh, I'm out. I'm good. Mm-hmm. Doesn't happen that way.
It usually doesn't. If you get over 5 and you get into the double digits, they're not processing something, generally speaking. Some trauma. We all have trauma.
Right.
At different levels, but we all have it. There's some deep trauma on a lot of things that they haven't processed. I ask hard questions when I'm at some point.
Right.
But I'm not getting somebody that's needing treatment. Like when I talk to somebody and they need a higher level of care, I refer them out.
Right.
Then they can come back because
Right.
I can't help them. But
the resources of where and what can help them.
Yeah, and my phone's always on for trying to help, regardless.
Oh, I know. I know.
You know that. I've gotten calls from you guys at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, which is fine if it's needed and it's an emergency. I had a lot of help.
Right.
So I had people help me.
And addiction or issues don't just happen Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
No, they don't.
That's where, there's nobody available. It's after 5 or it's after 6. That's not true. If nothing else, there's always 988, which is our crisis line that that people can call that need help right then, to where they can refer them or talk them down from where they are, because they go through like 80 hours worth of training before they can even pick up the first phone call at 988. So there's very good support there. And Greenville calls are answered here in Greenville, so they can connect with local resources. But in that vein, how can people get in touch with you?
So they can go to, I have a website, recovery413.com. You can go to Five Forks Counseling Group, and you'll see their office and all the people on there. I'm on that, and you can click on my website if you can go there if you want. They're a great organization. They have different therapists and counselors in there for different needs. Yeah, anything from major anxiety, depression to major trauma. I mean, just great counselors and therapists in there. So Five Forks Counseling Group, that's in Simpsonville.
Okay.
And then, do you want me to put my they can call me direct.
I mean, it does. Mr. Nick.
Yeah, I mean 404-277-3905. I've had that number. I can't remember when I didn't have that number, but
right.
If you don't get me, you leave me a message, and I will always return a call. Unless I forget, which is rare, but it does. I have to put it in my, but I usually will save that and call back. I really, communication to me is very important. I mean, it's top notch
for that, because if he doesn't call you back within a few minutes, then text him with that same number, and you'll hear back from him.
I mean, you can call and ask questions. I don't mind helping people, just if they need to. Parents and spouses don't know where to go.
Right.
They don't know what to do. It could be anything from their son or daughter or their husband or wife may need treatment. Like they know they need treatment.
Right.
They'll call 4 treatment centers and be more confused on where to send them.
Oh,
because they just don't know. It's not their fault.
Right.
They just don't know.
Well, it's the same thing when you're looking to put an elderly parent into a nursing home or assisted living. There's so many different things that are different about each one of them, and you get more and more confused. So I can imagine with treatment is the same way. So you can help guide them through that process of where their loved one may need to go.
Yes. The parent relationship is different than the spouse.
Right.
I mean, it gets a little tricky sometimes with the parents, especially if it's the first go round. That's why I like working with families. Eventually we'll get into I'm going to get into these high schools and work with families in a group.
But part of that is setting, if it's the first time for a parent, is setting that expectation of what the process is, how it's going to work, and what they need to do to get themselves ready to send their child off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's crazy out there right now. You know that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is.
And
It
just say
is.
something is great because we're getting in them on the board. So I'll say we. So we're getting out there to try to prevent
Right. Proactive.
proactive.
Hmm.
So and there's a couple places out there like that, but this is really. I think when we first met, we met in Columbia. We
Hmm.
talk about this a lot.
Hmm.
We were sitting next to each other at this meeting, but and that was very interesting when we were talking about what you do, and
So it's taken me a while to get you on board, but here you
you
are.
got me.
I do. I do. And your wife, Audrey, is amazing. I can't wait to, um, yeah, I got her too.
She just doesn't know it yet,
That's
right?
right. That's right. So, Nick, bringing this to a close, what what's the one thing that maybe you haven't said that you would want someone listening to this to, when this ends, they'll be like, oh, or I need to get in touch with him,
Or get
or get in touch with
or
you.
just call somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, or just call someone.
If it's a parent or spouse, don't keep letting. Don't think it's going to go away if it's been going on a while.
Mhm.
And
chances are, if it's causing problems, it's been going on and on for a
yes,
while.
and talk to your son or daughter, talk to your wife or husband. Um, Try to talk to them in a. You don't have to be easy peasy, but you want to talk to them in a manner of, concern. We could really go into a lot of things. We really could. I know we don't have a lot of time,
We'll
but
make that another
okay, I'd like to
podcast.
do that. I'd like to come in sometime and talk about like the drugs itself,
Hmm.
and then um, and then everything that involves with that, and what some of the things you can but
Right.
talk to your spouse, talk to your and talk to them in a way of genuine concern,
Hmm.
not the first time you get them. Just, I mean, I know that it's easy for someone to be upset because they're hiding. And
Berating and fussing and yelling is not going to accomplish anything, because they're going to shut down and then you're going to shut down. And so I think it's incumbent upon the adult in that conversation to stay calm.
to stay calm, gather information, talk. Now, you might not get to where you want to be in the beginning, and that's a whole nother. It may take, and then it gets to the point where there's ways to go about it to get them the help they need, depending on where they're at in their addiction and
Right.
things like that. That's a whole nother. It's there's so much involved in this.
Yeah.
There's so much involved with it, and the parents and can I bring one up? Can I
Yeah.
bring real quick? Do
Yeah.
we have time?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working with somebody on my own. It's actually a friend my wife and I went to school with
Oh.
way back,
Mm.
way back, elementary.
Oh, wow. That is way back.
It is a few years ago. Um, Her son is in a very, very bad way, and it's been going on for a long time now. She's divorced. He's 40-ish, and it's really sad right now, and she's struggling because of the codependency is just top, like level 9.5 out of 10, and and then he is just, I mean, he's already here. Like there's very little time.
Wow.
And it's really hard to get through her.
Mhm.
And I'm giving her reality, like I'm talking to her straight up in a good way.
Right.
And as a friend, lifelong friend, but she struggles so much with, I mean, it's, you would think, and I'm not, I mean, this is common.
Mhm.
I mean, you would think that he's like 15.
Well,
And I'm not trying to be like, talk bad or, I mean, it's just sad to watch.
right, right. And so a couple of the examples you've used today is they're in their 40s. And chances are they started when they were in their teens, or sooner. And so I think that's where people don't realize it, but prevention can work. You have to embrace it. And your return on investment for prevention is a lot more, is tons greater. I know that's not a financial term, but is so much more cost effective than treatment in the recovery piece.
The good thing about Just Say Something is you have different programs.
Right.
For preventative. It's so what is preventative? I mean, we could go into that, but I know we're not going to. But it's like you have sports programs,
Right.
you have family programs, you have groups, meetings, all these things that you guys, that Just Say Something does. Get into high schools, you get into them. You're always doing. You're busy.
Yeah. Welcome aboard.
You're busy.
Yeah.
But it's good, and you know what? It's not going to get everybody from doing it, but it's going to get some,
Mhm.
and that's all that matters.
Right. Right.
Is that you are helping the community, the
100%.
organization. So, and it's helping families.
Mhm. Yeah. That's why we're here, to help families have some of those hard conversations. And so we have classes or sessions. We even have one-on-ones that parents can come and get from us for free. All of our services are free, even to the point of, do you have trouble getting your child to go to bed at a consistent time? Well, we have people that can help you with that one-on-one, and give you some tools and strategies. We're not counselors. We're not therapists. We teach skills, and we teach proven skills. We know what we do works if you're willing and open to learning and putting that into practice. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's good, and it's nonprofit.
Right. Nonprofit, community-based organization. We're not part of a system. We're not part of the government. We are here for everyday parents. And you don't always have to come to us. If you're in a school, if you're in a business, and you have 6 or 7 parents who are interested in a class, guess what? We'll come to you. Doesn't matter whether it's in English or Spanish. We'll come to you. You don't always have to come to us. So we will come where you are.
All the services are free.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
why we need donations.
That's right. That's right. And our golf tournament.
We
is
got the
coming
golf
up.
tournament coming up.
I think we could continue this for quite a while.
Let's talk.
Our editor in chief over there might have
Is
another.
it time? I ramble. I do
No,
ramble.
no, it's
I
been
do.
great. It's been great. And I appreciate you spending time with us, but also sharing some of you with our community. That's one of the reasons I wanted you on the board. You have the heart and the passion, and to help make a difference in the community. So we'll definitely have you back for another broadcast, and I'm sure more than one.
I'd love to come back. I
Well,
really would. I would love to talk more about just, substances, and it's just that by itself,
right.
and just whatever you want to talk about.
Because I think the general parent out there doesn't know what they don't know. And I think you are a good conduit to helping them to learn some of that. So we'll definitely bring you back.
And there's a lot of people that do what I do that are doing it's very good work.
Right. Right.
Very good work in all as like I said, in all mental health.
Mm-hmm.
All mental health. So I try to partner up with as many people as I can in the
Yep.
industry. That's really what it's about. It's not about me. It's not about just you, because I know you partner with a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have to work together. So it's crazy out there right now, the
Yeah.
culture and everything else. So, but I'll stop. I think we're getting.
All right. Well, Nick Nacchia, I'll stick with that. Thank you again for being with us today. Recovery 413, I'm sorry, recovery413.com is where you can find Nick and his website. Look for him to be on future broadcasts of Just Say Something's podcast. And until next time, remember to subscribe, like, share, and comment on our podcast. And you can find them wherever you find your other favorite podcast. Until next time, this is Phillip Clark, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.